In this video, I'll show you how I went from just $100 to $2,000 and I did it in a pretty short period of time. Here, I'll share with you a working strategy that will let you achieve the same results. So make yourself comfortable. You can go ahead and hit the like button in advance. I'd really appreciate it. Now, let me show you the working method that I personally follow. The very first thing I need to decide on is the risk per trade. I want to open my first trade with 20%, that's $21, and it's pretty risky. But in my case, with my experience, that's enough. If you're just starting out, I recommend using 5% or 10% at most. But in my case, I can afford to open a trade with 21%. Next, I need to choose a currency pair with a good payout. Let's go with the Australian Canadian dollar. Now I'll do a simple analysis. Actually, for the first trade, I won't do any analysis at all. But after that, we'll use the best entry points and choose the right currency pair. I'm waiting for a signal from the bot. I get a sell signal, and right from here I open my sell trade for $21. The hardest part at the beginning, if you want to grow your deposit and you only have say from $100 to $500, is that you need to get through the first stage. That's when you're increasing your deposit. It gets easier later once you reach more substantial amounts. At the beginning, it's no coincidence we use small deposits to learn trading, adapt and gain experience. That's why I recommend beginners use $500 or $1,000. You can't use a larger balance without experience or team supervision. Yes, it makes sense. If you want to treat this as an investment or extra income and have at least 2,000, contact our managers or traders for advice. There's no point in working with such small amounts. Yes, there are a lot of people who unfortunately have limited financial means. That's why we work with $100 or at most $500. So this video is exactly for you. If you have a larger amount and want to earn additional income or are ready to get into serious large-scale trading, then contact our managers. I'll leave the link in the description. Write that you came from YouTube and that you want a consultation. The team will help you and advise you on your question. I'll leave the link in the description. I want to open the next trade again for 20%. That's already $25. So right now, the growth is barely noticeable. But with this amount, I'm not risking anything anymore. And from now on, I'll be opening trades not for percentage, but for the amount I've earned on top. Let's pick the next currency pair. Dollar Canadian dollar. I select this currency pair, go to the booster bot and choose the same currency pair there. And I get a buy signal. I open a buy trade right from here. Later in this video, I'll show you which currency pairs you should use, what the payouts on a trade mean, and how to set up the chart in the best possible way. But for now, let's watch this trade. As you can see, even without any analysis, this trade is bringing me a profit, and quite a decent one at that. So if you don't have the skills yet at this point in time, then I highly recommend you use the booster bot to grow your deposit. This bot is available to our entire audience, and all our guys know perfectly well how to make money with it. Here are just a few testimonials. Actually, these aren't even really testimonials, it's just people sharing their impressions and the results from working with this robot. Well, let's move on. And for the next trade, I can open it for $44. I won't be risking anything, and that's already 30% of my deposit. Excellent! Let's try to pick a good currency pair. First of all, I recommend immediately looking for high payouts, because the best price movements usually happen with those currency pairs. When the payout is low, the price tends to stay flat most of the time. But right now, there are almost no such currency pairs. Let's try to look for some. Yes indeed, right now we have good payouts everywhere. But if you see movement like this here, where the price stays in one place, it's better to skip that. The currency pair should have at least some decent movement, either up or down. If it's sideways, it shouldn't be narrow, but rather quite wide. That way, we have room to work from the lower area to the upper one. This is just as an example. Here we have the currency pair British pound to Canadian dollar. In this case, we have a 91% payout. So I choose this currency pair, select my favorite time frame 1 minute, and wait for a signal. And I get a signal to buy, I open a buy trade right from here, and in the next trade I'll show you how to set up the chart for the safest trading. For now, let's talk about currency pairs. As you can see, we do have a lot of currency pairs, but my team and I added the best currency pairs to the bot booster, which have good volatility and predictable movement. What does predictable movement mean? We have some currency pairs that have a very bad character. Their volumes can constantly fluctuate, sometimes they're high, sometimes on the contrary they're low, and as a result it's very hard to predict. Plus, there are economic reports, there are countries where everything is stable, and there are currency pairs or other countries where news can have a very strong impact on the behavior of their currency pair. That's why we didn't include such currencies. This was done intentionally. So all the currency pairs in the booster bot on there are 12 of them have been checked, and you can work with them confidently. That's factor number 1. Factor number 2, as I already mentioned, is the payouts on currency pairs. I recommend choosing higher payouts because there is price movement there and you can catch a good move. And third, as I said, is good movement. So if a currency pair is standing still, we skip it. If a currency pair is moving up or down, that's where you can work. By the way, I'm taking $40 and will open the next trade for $84. Right now, I'm not going to risk anything. That's already 45% of my deposit. But if I take a loss now, I'll still have $100 left. So you could say I can start over. Euro, Swiss franc. I'm choosing this currency pair. But first, I'll set 5-second candles. Let's first get a signal on this currency pair and then I'll explain why I chose 5-second candles. I'm getting a sell signal and right from here I'm opening a 1-minute sell trade. A new 5-second candle. What is that? Strangely enough, that's the best entry point. For example, let's say we want to open a sell trade right here. And it seems like we open it, but at some point the price makes a move like this. Accordingly, the new 5-second candle looks like this. If we had waited, we would have opened the trade here. And as a result, this entire movement, along with the rest of the market, would have been profitable. So this is our bonus, and this is our actual movement. I think that's pretty good. That's why it's worth using 5-second candles. If you're just starting to trade, then you can use 15-second candles. But 5-second candles are a more professional tool. I'll open the next trade for $155 and $100 will remain in my balance. The next currency pair is the Australian dollar to Canadian dollar. I'm switching to the booster bot. I select this currency pair and wait for a signal. I get a sell signal. I wait for a new 5-second candle and open a sell trade right on it. Yes, you need to understand that sometimes this movement doesn't happen. That's neither particularly good nor especially bad. This situation with such strong impulses typically works out in about 20% of cases. In all other cases, we'll either have a regular entry point or the price will just stay in place. So it's actually a pretty rare thing when it works out. But when it does work, it really brings in some decent results. As you can see, even right here, for example, if we had opened the trade to go down at this particular moment, we would definitely be at a loss. If we had opened the trade to go down here, we would actually be in profit. And it's just one single candle, that's the entire difference here. That's why this is a factor I recommend making use of. And even if you rarely get to use it in your daily life, it will still actually be beneficial. I'm earning $142 from this trade. Accordingly, the next trade I'll open will be for $298. And by the way, that's 75% of my deposit. $100 is my untouched balance, which I've set aside. You could say it's blocked. Now, I suggest we quickly take a look at several trades in a row. I'll be carefully choosing only the best currency pairs and opening trades on new 5-second candles, so you can clearly see in the demonstration exactly how it all looks. We can already see on my balance, it's now $1,900, which means I've almost increased my deposit 20-fold. Some people will say these numbers are unrealistic, but as you saw, I was going all in on almost every trade. And as I said at the beginning, the hardest part is getting through the start. When you only have $100, when you have $200, after that it gets easier. When you can, for example, stop entering trades with $2,000, or rather stop going in with 100% of your balance, and instead start opening trades with say 15%, which would already be $300, then you'll be taking on even less risk. And if you add a bit more to your balance, then 10% will already be $200, $300, $400, and so on. So the most important thing is to get through the very beginning. Again, our managers will help you with this. BoosterBot is also ready to help, as you can see. Yes, you need to understand that what I just showed you, some of the entry points you saw really did save me in trades. So you still need to know how to work with this bot. It's not like it trades automatically for you. It only gives you the signal direction. You have to use and find the entry point yourself. However, nevertheless, you can absolutely achieve results like these. Yes, of course, this is kind of a mini show for YouTube. But there really are many cases where people actually achieve the same impressive results. If you're ready to take a risk, to put in, for example, just $100 and try to go all in, just make sure you stop in time. Sometimes it happens that you win 7 trades in a row, and the 8th one could be a loss. And as a result, you could lose all the time you spend growing your deposit from $100 to $2,000. And you can really achieve such a balance in a very short period of time. In general, I'll leave a link to BoosterBot in the description, and you'll also find links to our managers and our support team there. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and leave a comment below. What do you think about this deposit acceleration, and could you pull off something like this? It'll be interesting to read your thoughts. With that, goodbye for now. See you soon.